If you want to learn how to draw an ice cream cone, then watch this. So we're going to draw this ice cream cone, okay?
Fun.
Hope it doesn't get you too hungry.
I'm starving.
So what I want to do is I want us to look at it as an inspiration, and we can make a few changes to it if we want to, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to do the method called Sketch 1, 2, 3. The first step to that method is to draw the shapes that we see. So there's a couple of different ways that we can look at it. We could just draw this square or this, shape here. But what I want to do is I want to pretend like the ice cream is transparent. So we're going to pretend like it's transparent. We're going to just see if we can get the shapes a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to draw about that same size. So first of all, I'm going to draw an oval. So I'm going to pretend like I see the top edge of that ice cream cone. So draw darker and just draw an oval. And then we want to do a second one just below it, about where that bottom one is, and it should be about the same size. It's hard to get exactly, but we're going to do about the same size. So one thing that we want to do is I'm going to grab the ruler here, and I want to show you how putting a plumb line in will help you be able to make it look more symmetrical. So that's about the center here. So we're going to just draw a solid line here. And then I'm going to put a solid line right down the center of my ovals, or close to it, just to give me some guidelines here. So go ahead and put that in yours. And what we want to do is we want to be able to just get the basic shapes really quick and easy, but be able to make sure it looks pretty close to even or symmetrical. So we've got our two ovals, and both of ours are pretty close to the center there. So let's go ahead and we're going to tie the two together with just a straight line. So we're drawing a lot darker than we would at home because we want you to be able to see it. So, all right, let's go ahead and do the bottom oval for the ice cream cone. So space it wherever you think it should be and try to center it. And I'm going to try to make sure that you got about the same width on each side, and you're going to go up and you're going to curve out to the edge here. All right. So can you see this little round edge here? We want to put that in too. Okay. So we've got this edge here. I'm going to put another edge right below it. So I'm putting a little curved line here, and then I'm going to do the same line again just below it. I've got to turn my paper just a little bit just so I can get that angle. So turn your paper if you need to. So now we have that curved edge. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on that top part. So we're going to put the outside curve here. And then we're going to follow that same shape and curve along here. Okay, now when I look at this, I can see you did a really good job on your cone. I can see that I went really too skinny, so I'm going to pull mine out a little bit. So just if you need to change it a little bit, go ahead and do that. And I'm
actually thinking mine could be just a little bit taller.
Okay, I'm going to do mine a little taller too. I think I'm drawing mine bigger altogether. But can you see, it doesn't matter how many lines you have. We're just going to erase what we don't need when we're done here. Okay, let's just look at the ice cream as two shapes, okay? This is an oval, and then we have a circle. So we're going to draw an oval that kind of overlaps. And then we're going to put a circle on top that overlaps that. And isn't quite as wide as the oval we just put in. Okay, so we have the very basic shapes that we see. Let's go ahead and do the second step. So the second step is to change the shape into an object. So just look at it quickly. You can look at the negative space around here, whatever you need to, and just try to change it into an object. So instead of all these shapes on top of each other, we're going to connect them. And you can wiggle it a little bit because ice cream's not perfectly smooth. You can even add a drip if you want to. I think I'm going to add just a little drip. And go ahead and lighten any lines that you don't need. Just if they're adding confusion. Those circles that we started with, or ovals that we started with, they are helpful to begin with, but they might be adding some confusion at this point. So you're putting some drips in yours too?
Well, it's not really a drip. It's just
It's just the way
kind of
it's
hanging
scooped up.
over. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody was generous when they served up this ice cream, so that's nice.
Oh, I love chocolate mint ice cream.
Yeah, give me the chocolate, but leave the mint out.
Well, can't say all your taste is in your mouth because you're missing out. So here we go. Okay. It's coming together. How's yours coming?
Yeah, yep, it's coming.
Got a little bit of movement. Now I got too round, too much of a roundness here. It just needs to look like it has a little bit of like it's melting, or it's just not a perfectly round shape. So I'm going to add a little bit there. Let's go ahead and do the shapes here in the cone real quick. So the cone shapes, if we do a straight line, it will flatten the surface. So we want to make sure that we are curving the line. So we're going to do these 3 horizontal lines, but we want to curve them, and you're using about the same curve as we have here, okay? So we're going to give it a slight curve, and you're going to do 2 of them. So you have 2 sides of it. For each one, you're going to 2 sides. You got to watch your curve. I'm having a hard time getting these angles the way I'm holding my paper, so I have to make some changes here. All right. So the second part of step 2 is to turn upside down and check it and see if you've got your shapes right. We don't have a lot of interior shapes or anything, so I think we can check it really quick and see.
Think so.
Let's turn it upside down and check it. We're going to just take this off and turn it around. And just check and see if you want to make any changes. And I can see I want to put a little bit more of a curve to the bottom of my cone.
I think I want to make my cone even a little bit longer than I had it, and even maybe straighter, perhaps.
Okay, go ahead and make your changes.
Although I don't know that that's too big of a deal, but...
No, and like we talked about, this is just an inspiration, so our cone does not have to look exactly like that picture, so...
Okay, all right. Well, then we'll just pretend like I'm the artist here and I'm drawing what I want to draw.
Well, don't pretend, you are the artist.
There we go.
So there you go. Okay. All right. If you have any lines that are causing confusion, go ahead and erase those now. And let's go ahead and turn it right side up then if you feel like you have it.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to grab this brush. We have a brush here that we can wipe the crumbs away without smearing our picture. Okay, guess we need to turn this right side up.
It's probably mainly ice cream drips that we have rather than crumbs on this.
Yeah. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to define and add detail.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and make any changes that you want. I'm looking at mine and I'm thinking, man, I think I want my ice cream cone to come out just a little bit. So I'm going to add even a little more detail here. And we're going to add some more detail on the cone now. So can you see we have the vertical lines on the cone that we need to do. So let's start with our detail on them. And you can see it only goes to this point. But it's mostly straight, but they kind of taper inward. So we are going to go inward just slightly. Oops, and we don't go to the bottom section, do we?
No, that bottom section doesn't have those indentations.
Yeah, so try to keep them about the same thickness as the other ones you made. I'm looking at mine thinking maybe I want another row up here, so I'm going to use my artistic license and change it just a little bit and get another row. Just looked like it needed a little more.
Yeah.
I've got a tall cone. Okay. So when you're drawing, you can add whatever detail you want. You can define it however you like, or you can add color if you want. So what do you say? Why don't you add color to yours, and I'll shade mine and just add some depth with a pencil.
Okay,
We'll see what look we get.
Well, let's see what happens.
So I'm going to have you use watercolor pencils.
Okay.
And we're using a mixed media paper. Not sure how this mixed media paper will handle that, but let's just kind of play with it and see what happens. Okay, so we just got a few minutes to plop in some color, and we will get some shading on this one and get some color on that one so you can see. When you're doing this, you can add whatever you want to. You can use color pencil, watercolor, whatever you want. So you're just adding some color, and I'm going to add a little bit of shadow shape. So as I look at this, I'm just assuming that this side is my shadow side and this side is my light side. That's what I see. Is that what you see here? The light side here and the shadow side here?
Yes. The light is coming, sunlight is coming from the right side, so it's going to be melting that ice cream pretty quickly.
Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of dimension on the cone, just a little shading. Give it some interest.
So I'm just going to put a kind of an underlayer here.
Underpainting, maybe?
Whatever color, whatever that word is.
Okay.
Kind of all over the place.
So you're just kind of doing a base color, just kind of color blocking it in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you add color, you can do basically whatever you want. And if you're doing just a value drawing, then use whatever technique you want to do it. I'm going to turn my paper this way, and I'm going to steal your pencil if that's okay.
Certainly.
And I'm just going to add some hatching marks just for the shadow shapes on mine. It's interesting how much more intriguing a picture is when you have a light and a shadow source on it. Just gives it so much more depth and interest. So
definitely the some shadow changes the values, gives you some different values in it, and the values is what really add that interest in a piece of work.
Yeah. So you're drawing it very loose, because I can tell by the way you're holding your pencil, you're not being precise at all. I guess that's because it's a watercolor pencil, right? So you can be blending it together anyway.
If I was to add some water to this, it'll completely change it.
Okay. I'm going to grab a blending stump and add just a little bit of a blended look to the cone. I want to make my cone look like it's a different texture than the ice cream portion, so I'm trying to add just a little more texture here, and then I'll try to make the ice cream a little more smooth. So you're getting some depth using a couple different colors, it looks like.
Well, so far it's just the pressure that I've had on that.
Oh,
But
okay.
now I'm going to add a little bit different color here.
Okay. I thought it was a different color altogether. So what's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Burnt almond fudge, definitely. Yeah, are you going to buy me some?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Only if I get
expecting
some too.
After dinner, that's what I want.
I also like butter pecan.
Butter pecan is good, yes. That's a good second. I could handle that. I could handle just some orange sherbet too.
Yeah, sounds good as well. Okay, I can see how you're getting some depth. So he's creating some layers with the ice cream and making it look like there's some shadow shapes underneath there. And we're gonna,
Looks like you're pretty well done with your shading, aren't you?
well, I got the cone pretty well shaded. I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit to the ice cream part. You wanna go ahead and see what you can do on your cone?
Sure.
And we will, sorry, I'm gonna reach over you again and steal the brush. We are going to, oops. Add some value, so looks good. That looks really good.
Why, thank you. So if I put a brush to this watercolor pencil here, it will completely change what we see. And so right now I don't have any water to put on it, but I'm just getting the color on there, and then with the water, it'll smear it all the way over.
Well, it kind of softens it, doesn't it?
It does, definitely softens it and can highlight it depending on how you apply the water.
Okay. I'm just holding my pencil from the far end, and I'm doing what's called a scumble stroke. And these are just little tiny circular strokes going both directions and overlapping one another. And that gives us a nice soft look as well. And I know you're just almost like you're coloring, because you know you're going to be blending it with your water, so you don't have to worry about your stroke quite so much.
But typically I do not put water on everything. Oftentimes I just
decide what part you want
highlight
smooth.
some areas with water, because that really pulls the color out.
Okay, well, let's get some color in the rest of the cone and have you show us what part you would blend. So watercolor pencils are just a little bit different than watercolor. You have a little more control over where you put them and can actually get color down without working with water at all, and then just use water to get your softness and blending done. So they're kind of a fun medium, but they're kind of tricky too.
Mm-hmm.
If you like watercolors, they act similar to it, and just a little in some ways, but other ways they are kind of limiting or a little slower than a watercolor, because you can put watercolor down so fast. So I'm adding just a little bit of shadow shapes here. And I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to put in some pops of value in just some areas to give it some dimension. And I want some of the lines to just kind of disappear. So I'm just kind of choosing where I put the lines. All right, let's go ahead and have you grab the watercolor and see what you do with this. So I'm going to open up the water here for you. And we'll just put a little bit of color in a few spots.
Okay.
I'll grab your brush.
Whoa, that was a darker color than I anticipated.
So with the color pencils, it doesn't matter if it's a regular Prismacolor pencil or if it's watercolor pencil. You always want to test your colors and not trust the barrel color, because they're never always right.
Don't ever do what I just did. You should always test your color on a piece of paper somewhere else.
Okay, show us how you're going to blend that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna, on some of it, I'm gonna do the entire thing. And like so.
I'm not using a lot of water, just a
No,
little bit
just a
to
little
blend
bit.
it.
And this color here, where there's no color here, but it's going to pull some of it across.
So it kind of leaves a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
You got shadow shapes there, but I'm wondering if you could just rub a brush across it and lightly and get those,
To do the whole thing.
yeah, down and do the whole thing.
Just kind of
Lighter pressure at the other end.
kind of pull some of that color across.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Here's a rag if you want to dry it off. So while he finishes this, just remember the steps that we did. Sketch 1, 2, 3 starts with drawing the shapes that you see, changing those shapes into an object. Then you're going to turn the object upside down. And what that does is it changes it into an abstract. So you're looking at it as shapes instead. And you're going to compare your reference picture to your drawing and see if everything's right. Make any adjustments that you need to. And remember that no matter what you do, there's always going to be something that you can change, push and pull or whatever you need to make those adjustments. So don't get stuck on what you've drawn being perfectly right. Just make the adjustments as you go. Even when you get to the last stage, you might need to make a change or adjust something a little bit. So
Definitely, yes.
then you're going to go to step 3, and that is define and add detail. And that can mean as much as you want it to be. It can be just a quick add just a little bit of detail and a punch of value and be done. You can shade it. You can spend a lot of time and do a finished piece or whatever you want. And then if you want to add color, you can. That looks really good.
It needs chocolate.
It needs chocolate. Well, maybe that's pistachio since you don't like mint.
Okay. Next time we'll have to do the chocolate.
Okay. Well, there you go. So drawing an ice cream, just follow the steps and draw your favorite ice cream. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.